A four-engine bomber, shredded by flak, descends from the clouds. It touches the ground with the grace of a bird. British soldiers run toward the wreck, axes in hand, ready to pull the wounded from the fire. They tear open the hatch. They find nothing. The cockpit is empty. The navigator's desk is tidy. The plane is a ghost. Today we investigate the impossible landing of B-17 number 43-38545. A 10-ton machine of war that flew over enemy lines, survived a hail of lead, and returned home, without a single human soul on board. You will see the moment the crew vanished into thin air. You will hear the records of the men who saw the empty cockpit in mid-flight. And we will reveal the scientific phenomenon that turned a dying plane into a sentient ghost. November 23rd, 1944. Northern Europe is a frozen hell. The air is so cold it shatters steel. At an airbase in southern England, the crew of a B-17 prepares for a standard mission. Their target is the oil refineries at Merseburg, Germany. This is one of the most defended patches of dirt on the planet. To get there, they have to fly through a wall of black smoke and jagged metal known as flak. The pilot, Harold DeBolt, grips the yoke. His knuckles are white. His breath freezes on the glass of his oxygen mask. Around him, 9 other men check their gear. Their parachutes, their lucky charms. They know that 1 out of every 5 bombers won't come back. The engines roar to life, spitting blue flames into the morning mist. The plane, nicknamed the Phantom, lifts off the runway. It feels heavy. It feels sluggish. As they reach 20,000 feet, the sky turns into a nightmare. Dark bursts of fire explode all around them. The sound is like giant hammers hitting a tin can. A piece of shrapnel the size of a dinner plate slices through the fuselage. The number 4 engine begins to scream. Black oil sprays across the wing. This is the moment a machine of war decides it has its own destiny. The Phantom is hit hard. The vibration is so violent it shakes the teeth in the men's heads. Engine number 4 is dead. Engine number 3 is failing. The plane is losing altitude fast. DeBolt yells into the intercom, but the wires are severed. There's only static and the roar of the wind. The crew believes the plane is about to explode into a fireball. DeBolt looks at his co-pilot. He gives the signal. Bail out. One by one, the 10 men move to the hatches. They look down at the freezing clouds below. They jump into the abyss. They watch as their plane, trailing smoke and fire, disappears into the fog. They are certain it will crash within seconds. They float down to the German-occupied territory, expecting to see a massive explosion on the horizon. But the explosion never comes. Instead, something impossible happens. Freed from the weight of 10 men, balanced by the strange physics of its remaining engines, the B-17 levels out. The Phantom is now flying itself. It is no longer a weapon. It is a ghost. It turns away from the target. It begins a long, lonely journey back toward the Allied lines. For over 100 miles, this empty shell of steel cruises through the sky. It passes through anti-aircraft fire. It glides over enemy patrols. To anyone on the ground looking up, it looks like a normal bomber. But inside, there is total silence. The ghost plane is heading for a field in Belgium, a field it has never seen before. The British 457th Light Anti-Aircraft Battery is stationed in a quiet field near Cortenberg, Belgium. They hear the drone of engines. They look up and see a lone B-17. Its landing gear is down. Its flaps are lowered. It looks like a pilot in distress. The soldiers run to clear the area. They watch in awe as the massive plane lines up perfectly with the grass. It touches down. The tires scream as they hit the dirt. The plane bounces once, twice, then settles. It skids for a few hundred yards and comes to a halt right before hitting a line of trees. The propellers continue to spin for a moment, then stop. Total silence. The soldiers approach with caution. They expect to find a cockpit full of dead men or a pilot covered in blood. They climb the ladder. They look inside. The navigator's maps are still pinned to the table. A half-eaten chocolate bar sits on a ledge. But there's not a single human being on board. The British officer in charge, Major John Crisp, enters the plane. He finds the throttles set to cruising speed. He finds the Sperry autopilot engaged. But the most chilling part? The crew's parachutes are missing, but the hatches are closed and locked from the inside. This was a mechanical impossibility. How could a crew exit a locked plane and leave it to land itself? The news spreads like wildfire. The ghost of Cortenberg becomes the talk of the Allied command. Was it a miracle? Or was it a glitch in the very laws of physics? Experts arrive to inspect the wreckage. They find that the plane had survived hits that should have torn its wings off. Yet, here it sat, untouched by the crash, waiting for a pilot who wasn't there. The investigation revealed the terrifying truth. When the crew bailed out, the plane was in a shallow dive, but the loss of 2,000 pounds of human weight changed the center of gravity. As the fuel burned off, the tail became heavier. This pushed the nose up. The autopilot, a primitive but effective mechanical brain, fought to keep the wings level. By a 1 in a billion chance, the wind speed, the fuel weight, and the engine power created a perfect equilibrium. The B-17 didn't land because of a miracle. It landed because it had become a perfectly balanced glider. But the mystery of the locked doors remained. Records from the crew later suggested that in their panic, they had slammed the doors shut as they jumped, and the wind pressure had sealed them tight. The plane had literally locked its own doors behind its departing masters. It spent its final hour as a living creature, flying home to die on its own terms. The Phantom never flew again. It was stripped for parts. Its steel melted down to make new weapons. The crew survived the war in prisoner of camps, but they never forgot the sight of their plane flying away without them. They felt as if they had abandoned a friend who refused to give up. Here is the final fact that will haunt you. During the war, over a dozen ghost landings were reported across Europe. Some planes landed with dead crews. Others, like the Phantom, landed completely empty. It suggests that these machines were so well engineered they had a survival instinct of their own. History calls it a mechanical fluke. But for the men who stood in that Belgian field, they knew they had seen a ghost. A 10-ton ghost that just wanted to come home.